So this is my presentation, I guess, end of semester presentation for the projects I've completed and the lessons. So for projects that I've done, there have been three main ones that I've done. The first one was that dinner. It was not really required since homework in this class really technically isn't required, but I thought I would try it just to see what the projects would be like and what would be required throughout the process of each of the projects, which as we found out, there's a lot of different ways to present the projects, to do the projects, all those sorts of things. So the dinner was first, and then I started on the Potter's Wheel second, but I finished the project management professional surveys interviews second because this took me all semester, the project Potter's Wheel one. So for the project management and professional surveys one, I just went on LinkedIn and I messaged a whole bunch of different project managers that they are in a variety of professional situations, and they've had a bunch of different degrees. I think one of them, she was in communication as a degree. Another one was in CIT and computer science. But they've all got a project management label at their position. So it was really cool to be able to see all the different degrees that they had going and coming out of school and what they did to get to the project management position that they're in now. I learned a lot from that situation because I did a survey on Google Forms, and then I wasn't able to have any phone conversations with them since they were very busy professionals, but I was able to have some very amazing email communication on their time schedule. The third one that I did was the Potter's Wheel, and I started this, I think, the second week of the semester, but it took a really long time because of the way that it is, especially, I don't know if you guys in the video can see this, but this shaft has to be perfectly vertical, otherwise it'll wobble, and while I'm turning my pots and wheels and everything, it won't work. It'll fall apart. The wheel itself won't, but I won't be able to make anything on it. So we had to work I tried to contact the engineering department. I think it's Brother Kinghorn, I can't remember his first name, Kyle Kinghorn. He was able to help me a lot with the figuring out of how to get it aligned, and then I was able to work with my dad, who is a project manager, and an engineer, not engineer, he's a welder down the street in my home ward that was able to help us weld these pieces together and make sure that everything was perfectly aligned. So that one took me the entire semester, but from all of these, I've had quite a few amazing takeaways. Okay, so I learned this about halfway through the semester to focus with the lessons learned and what I've gained as a project manager from the heart, mind, physical body, and mortal soul. And I've really liked that, even though, especially Immortal Soul, I was a little bit confused on at first because I was trying to think of, okay, well, this is what I've done as a project, but I can think of those first three, but what about the Immortal Soul? So I'll focus on those first three and then I'll talk about the other one. From the heart, each of the different projects, especially the Potter's Wheel, really helped me gain relationships because a lot of them, actually all of them, I had to focus on other people. For the dinner, for example, I had to invite people. I had to make sure everyone knew what time it was, when it was, what food would be served, if there was any allergies, which there weren't, which was nice because I didn't have to worry about that. But if there had been allergies, what I would have done to make things differently so that they would be able to enjoy the meal just as much. And then with the Potter's Wheel, I had to speak with the engineering department, the welding department, who actually weren't able to help me, but then the welder down the street, my dad, and then of course my partner Alexander in the class. And then the project management, of course, it was talking to lots of different people and building those relationships so that they felt like they could share. Some of them were kind of personal stories about how they got to where they are now. Mind, I've learned a lot. I learned a lot about just tools in general I think probably in mind and physical body, the one that bent me out of my comfort zone the most was the Potter's Wheel, because I've never built anything in my life other than pottery and ceramics and stuff. I've never used a drill and I've never done that kind of stuff. So I learned how to do those things accurately and correctly and make sure I didn't hurt anyone or hurt myself especially. And so I learned a lot, both physically and mentally, because now I know I could go into another project. Maybe it wouldn't be the same extent of complexity because there was a lot of people I had to reach out to, but I could do this sort of thing or build something without as much stress on myself because I now know kind of some of the mental stuff and the physical side. Along with that, with the dinner, it was very interesting because I usually don't think about making dinner. I just make it every day. But when you're focusing on making it a project, there's a lot of different things you can focus on and learn from just making dinner, from timing of when things are cooking, which I've always struggled with because I'll usually just make everything at the same time and then something's cold and just heat it up in the microwave. So it was interesting to be able to, again, I kind of combined mind and physical body because with all of my projects that I was doing, I had to think about things in new ways and then also implement them. And then lastly, Immortal Soul. This one was a little bit harder and it's still kind of hard for me to comprehend, but I kind of took it as what are some of my spiritual gifts that I have grown in these capacities. And I think for this one, definitely perseverance has been one that I have had to focus on a lot, and I bet all of you have on your projects as well, because you get into them and no matter which one you picked, it's going to be harder than you thought it was going to be. And so I just really had to learn to stick through it, and even when there was a lot of hard challenges, I had to learn how to communicate with people and persevere through those challenges. So then lastly, I wanted to thank you guys for coming, and everyone who's watching this, I hope that you learned something. Do you have any questions for me about my projects? And if you want any more information, you can contact me. I can send you like some other things or just show you pictures and explain what I did. Okay, perfect. Thank you.